The Invisible Man is a psychological thriller, horror, sci-fi film. It's many things. It combines many different elements. It is directed by Lee Wannell, who, if you may remember from 2018, the film Upgrade, which I thought was pretty good. Nothing too spectacular, but it was pretty good for what it was. And The Invisible Man, I would say, is quite different. It is, in fact, a reboot of many other films that have already come throughout this series. The original story being created by H.G. Wells, of course. And I have no real prior knowledge, prior experience with any of the films that have been made in this franchise, I guess you could call it. Of course, it is, 2010s, 2020s. We're carrying on all the remakes, reboots. It's just going to keep going, I assume. But the most recent example of a remake reboot that I was very impressed with and I had no prior knowledge about, to be honest, was Little Women. And that was actually a pretty great film by Greta Gerwig, I thought there was so much about that film that had so much like joyous energy. It was so cute, honestly. It was just a really fun watch. So, of course, there is room for films like this being remade, rebooted, and the potential is that, they can be great. And I'm not entirely sure if The Invisible Man is a great film, but I would say it is a really good one. I had a good time watching this. I thought there were lots of things about it that worked really well. I thought some of the horror elements were pretty clever throughout. Even if it certainly wasn't the most original with its attempts to kind of keep you anticipating some jump scares and stuff like that. There were a few of those moments, but I guess, you can't really escape that in horror films. And I don't even know if it's like the worst thing in the world anyways for horror films to have jump scares. I just know it's a big complaint for people these days where it just feels incredibly generic and thrown in and just not really original, I suppose. But I thought what this story set out to do and the subject matter of the story was already quite scary in itself and quite harrowing, to the point where you were sort of feeling a bit twisted watching it. I mean, the whole idea of it was pretty weird to begin with, and honestly, without knowing the story, really anything about the story, I actually wasn't entirely sure where the film was even going anyway, so it was actually quite a good watch for me. And also, I think Elizabeth Moss's performance was enough to keep me interested and buying into what was going on throughout the film, because there were elements of it that felt quite far-fetched, and there were like questions on like the motivation of the main guy, I guess. It certainly was a bit like, why would you go this far to do what you're doing? I don't know. But it didn't really matter too much, because much of the film was just that enjoyable to watch, and seeing, her character deal with these things and struggle for anyone to believe her was quite good, even though, again, you've seen it before in previous horror films where it's like, no one believes me. They don't understand. No, it is happening. This thing is happening. They're trying to kill me. You don't get it. No, you've got to believe me. It is a pretty common trope, but to be fair, I think it was worked in quite well. There were also a few moments in the film where like the sci-fi amped up, especially towards the end, and it certainly was very indicative of what Lee was going for in Upgrade. I think there was the one scene that felt very much like what happened in Upgrade, so you could kind of tell the links there and how she's progressed, I suppose, onto a film like this. Other performances throughout were really quite good, honestly, as well. James, her friend, who was helping her throughout the film, he was a cop in the film as well. You may remember him from Straight Outta Compton and Hidden Figures. He's quite a good actor. I think he deserves to be in more stuff, actually. But yeah, he was really good in the film. His daughter was really good in the film as well. I guess the character who was like a lawyer, and it was also the brother of her boyfriend, he was a bit like cheesy. Like he had this like overly sinister type vibe to him that was just a bit cringy at points, but I guess he kind of got the job done. But maybe he could have kind of dialed it back and been a bit more subtle with his performance, I guess. But yeah, I quite liked it overall. I did think that this film was going to be a lot worse than it ended up being. I really wasn't entirely sure what to expect with it. But you know what? I think it was handled really well, and I think the subject matter was interesting too. Sort of like played with this idea of how like abuse can affect you. Obviously, it was taken to the extremes, so there aren't exactly many relatable cases you could point this to. But I think it sort of was a bit of a, I guess, a psychological look into how much abuse can affect you. Because lots of things were messing with her head throughout the film, and I guess if you played that in a real life situation without obviously the sci-fi elements and all that kind of stuff, I think that mental state is still accurate in this film. Like you can still paint a picture in real life and sort of link it to how someone might be feeling in that state. And I will say they followed it through with the ending. I thought that was a really strong ending. Yeah, good film, really good film. I'd watch this again actually with like friends and stuff. I think this would be a good one to sit down, I guess, in the dark with your friends. It's not that scary, but I think it has its moments. So yeah, definitely go see it. I'm gonna go 7 out of 10. I think just not quite a great film. I think there were a few moments throughout where some things could have been delivered a bit stronger, like with the jump scares, I guess. But other than that, I think it was really quite good. So thank you for watching my review. Hopefully you enjoyed what I had to say, and hopefully you enjoyed the film. But if you didn't, let me know. But if you did enjoy the film, also let me know. Please comment. Thank you for watching, all 7 people of you watching the video. No, I'm kidding. No, there's like 8 people probably. I don't know. But thank you for watching my video. Goodbye. Have a good day. And subscribe.